Welcome, welcome. Season 2, Episode 8 of the Breaking Chains podcast. Today, we're going to talk about mindset expansion. So, what's that
up?
mean to you?
What's up, everybody? So I'm loving, first of all, our producer Tyler coming up with these topics as we have been so busy with so many things, but wanting to continue this in service, like sharing. And so it's been hard to think oh, what do we talk about? And we've been gifted with somebody saying, I think this is good.
Agreed.
And mindset is huge. And I'm sure we've covered a lot of mindset. I mean, our whole, one of our main tags is mindset, right? But what does that even mean? What does mindset mean to you? What's a mindset?
It's changed a little bit. So for me, prior, mindset was like, this is what I'm going to get done, when I got to get done, when it has to get done. It was more discipline. It was more willpower. It was more unstoppable, pretty much at all costs to get whatever the end goal was. That was kind of my mindset.
I don't know if you understood the question.
Oh, okay.
Not what is your mindset? What is mindset?
I can only give you my perspective on my mindset, right? So that was I didn't say everybody's.
Your definition of mindset, that's what it was?
My mindset was what am I focused on?
Oh God, we're getting into one of the definition topics.
Mindset. What is your mindset on? No. Focus for me.
What is the meaning? A general sense of mindset. What is mindset?
Okay, so explain yours.
I like what you just said. What is your mindset on? That is generally what mindset is.
Okay.
So where your thoughts are at, what's your ingrained belief system is. I would say it's that hardwiring. Mindset is kind of the hardwiring in a sense. Not to confuse it with habits but usually your habits and your routines will affect your mindset, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So that's what I meant. What is mindset to everyone in general? But I also like what you said in terms of how your mindset has changed. That's what we want to expand on today, right? How do you change your mindset? If we're saying it's hardwired, if we're saying it's set in this way, is it possible to change your mindset?
Sure, if you feel like you want to. I mean, I think it all depends on how you're feeling in your life right now. In different life experiences or your current environment, or maybe being aware of where other people are at. You're like, wow, I wonder how that person is living that type of life. And I wonder what their mindset is like. Or when life gets painful, you might decide to take a look at that pain and say, wow, is my mind set in the right place? Because what I'm getting back in terms of feedback is something that I don't want anymore. And then you might make changes.
Okay. So I believe, just like you, over my life, my mindset has shifted, right? By doing work. It's never just been oh, I woke up today and I changed. It, like you said, it was triggered by needing to. Okay, I really have to shift where my mind is, because waking up like this it does not feel good. And I've talked about this before. One of my biggest shifts in mindset, because I've been in fitness my whole life. I was an athlete when I was young, gymnastics, cheerleading, dance, did all of that. High school, cheerleading, track. And then in high school, I started going to the gym. And then in college, big time gym. I did no sports, but the gym, fitness was my passion. But why fitness was so big as a part of my life, even that mindset of why fitness was big shifted, right? It used to be this obsession with my body because of where my mind was and where my thoughts were about needing to be perfect. So it was more about my mindset was set on perfection. I need to do this out of fear of not being perfect, right? So then as I did bodybuilding, I became depressed. I became lethargic. I became achy. My whole body hurt. I hated my life, like suicidal thoughts, because I was so obsessed with my body and the constant comparison to other bodies. My mind was in a very dark place, and it was still set in that I have to be perfect. I was sleeping at night and I was pinching my fat. Like, how much fat do I have here? Like, how obsessive and sick is that, right? Like, if you just think about somebody laying in bed going to sleep at night, pinching themselves to sleep, like, how fat am I today? How fat am I? Oh my God, this is still here. And so my mind was in such a dark place, but it was these ruminating thoughts about not being perfect, right? So all of that to say, how did I shift out of that? And what made me shift out of that? First of all, hitting that rock bottom of wanting to kill myself and sharing with my father, like, hey, Dad, I really want to die. And he basically was like, well, where will that get you? While you're here, you might as well do what you love if that's how you feel, right? He's like, so what do you really want to do? Why don't you go do that? So that was interesting because, first of all, I didn't get the pity party that I wanted. Like, excuse me, like, can you be real sad with me for a second? I also think he did take it seriously because he said, first of all, and I said I wanted to quit the bodybuilding competition. I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's making me miserable. And he said, no, you have to finish. You started, finish it, get on stage. He's like, you're only going to feel worse if you don't finish. Then secondly, he said, then do what you love. Like, find something that's important to you and focus on that. And then behind my back, he invited my whole family to come to my show. When I saw my whole family at my show, which was a surprise, I started bawling my eyes out, crying. That's also where you were. That's how
I was
that
there.
kicked off our, if you remember the bikini story, because I was on stage in a bikini comparing my body to other bodies and letting judges judge me of how I looked in a bikini. How satisfying in life is that, right? So when I saw my family there, to watch me walk on stage in a bikini to judge my body, like, bodybuilding sounds really cool until you start to think about what it really is, right? It's dark. I started bawling and I was like, I cannot believe this is what I'm doing with my life. Like, I am working out in the gym for 3 hours a day, dieting. I can't even be social because I can't eat around people. To stand on stage in a bikini while my family loves me so much that they'd support me in anything I do to come watch that. What is important to me? And it was like one of those moments that were so deep, and it was just like, it was like a movie, like everything flashes in front of your eyes. Like, what is important? What is this life that I'm living? Is this even health? I don't feel good. I don't feel great. I remember my face being like sunken. I had this horrible makeup on. My like cousin did it, and I know she meant to do it well, but I guess like my face just was not working for them. It just looked terrible. I just looked terrible. And
Now you know.
It was just like, no, she knows. She's like, I'm so sorry. But it was just me. It was like where I was at. It's all a reflection, right? Like, I couldn't look pretty because I didn't feel pretty. I didn't feel good.
Yeah.
Anyways, long story. Sorry, I'm like taking up this whole entire podcast with this bodybuilding story. I realized like there was something I had to do to not feel like this. And that was finding purpose. That was finding purpose in life. And when I realized I was doing this bodybuilding just to look a certain way, and I felt like absolute shit, I was like, I have this all backwards. I'm so focused on the outside that my inside does not feel good. And funny enough, one of my clients, I was working at MED, gave me a book right before I quit again. And that book was by Dan, I think his name's Dan Harris, called 10% Happier. I didn't like the book. But in the book, I've read the whole thing. He had a lot of references as to where he started focusing on his mindset, mindfulness, spiritual journey. And he was like Eckhart Tolle and all these other people. So I was like, I wonder what this Eckhart Tolle guy is, Eckhart Tolle. So I picked up The Power of Now. And I got blasted away. And one of his biggest quotes that I love is, focus on the inside, get the inside right, and the outside falls into place. So that's when I feel like I really felt, wow, I get it now. Focusing on the outside and fixing everyone and fixing all of this exterior is never going to get me anywhere. It's all happening inside. What do I really feel like inside? And if I'm not being authentic in here, that's just going to play out everywhere else.
Agreed. It's all about the inside. Obviously, a lot of the philosophers have talked about that. We've talked about Alan Watts. Alan Watts. Who was the
But give a
guy?
quote. What does Alan Watts say that? You got anything about
I said it before on one of the podcasts. I can't remember it exactly, but it's inside equals the outside.
It's all the same thing,
it's
right?
It's all the same thing.
It's not. And a quote that I think we've both heard before, it's like looking into a mirror, right? You're looking out here. You look into a mirror and you see something on your face. You see something on your face. And instead of wiping your face, you keep trying to wipe it off on the mirror. You're trying to wipe the smudge off the mirror and wondering why it's not coming off your face. Because you're so focused on what you're seeing and not what you're being. Right? So that is, I think, the biggest first step in shifting your mindset and recognizing that you're in a place where you want to shift your mindset. How are you feeling inside? Truly. And nobody else can tell you that. How are you feeling inside? And everything else, you could pretend it's all fine and happy and dandy, and you could put the biggest smile on your face, but you can bet your dollar, you walk around, everyone's going to feel your energy anyway. Everyone's going to know where you're at. They're going to know if that's a fake smile, right? No one's going to actually believe it if you don't.
True. It all starts with the inside, but I also think it's important for people to sometimes acknowledging that you even have the power to transform the external world is something that can motivate people in the right direction of starting to look within. But in your life, it seems like, and obviously in my life, it seems like some of the most painful moments have shifted us to wanting more. So instead of like being in life and running away from painful moments or being scared of the valley, right? We got the peaks and the valleys. If we can appreciate all aspects of the journey, we know on the other side that it's either taking us somewhere, we're learning something from it, or that a big shift is about to happen. As long as we're willing to actually put in the work on ourselves to make that happen.
Yeah. I've been so good this season about not comparing everything to birth, because I really love to do that. But men can't relate, right? Like you never, I'm so sorry, men, but you will never have the opportunity to feel what birth is like. But like everything is birth, right? And being pregnant is so hard, and you're going through this and you're feeling it all just to literally feel the most intense thing you've ever felt in your life. So you have to hit that point where there is no other way to it than going through it.
Of course.
Right? That was my birth mantra for my first kid. You literally have to breathe breathe and melt into feeling it all. And this is why I'm such an advocate for natural birth. I feel like it's what is that called? A rite of passage for not only for you, but for the child to go through that journey. And this is not to be insensitive to like women that have to have C-sections or women that got induced and had to have epidural. But like, if you have the opportunity to feel a natural birth, it's actually the greatest gift in the world. But this is life, right? Like, and it's just the perfect epitome of what birthing anything in this life is, whatever it is that you want to birth, whether that's a business, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a job. You want to birth a creation into this world. You're going to have to first go through the waves, go through the contractions, the moments of feeling nothing, the moments of feeling something, the moments of being able to breathe, the moments of intensity, and then you're going to hit a point where you're going to want to quit. You're going to want to quit. You're going to want to die. Not so drastic all the time. But then that's when something beautiful is birthed, if you're able to get through that.
Can you always guarantee that for people? That on the other side of that pain, there's always something beautiful being birthed.
Always, even if your plan doesn't pan out because you've learned something.
Agreed. You've
learned how to push through something. And you've learned that you've made it to the other side regardless.
Yeah.
You're there. You're still here. Your journey is still going. And that's really birth. The fact that you're just still here to witness it.
Well,
I don't want to get too dark into like birth stories, right? Because dark stuff could happen there, right? You could lose a child. So many things happen. But to be able to experience that and witness that part of life, there's no loss as long as you're still going.
No, in reality, you actually birthed the new version of yourself.
Absolutely. You've just experienced something that transformed your life.
Built resilience, built wisdom, it's built appreciation, it's built... Yeah, so it's almost like it's like a birthing, like a death and a rebirth.
You die.
With every experience.
I was just telling my Pilates class, they're like, everyone thinks I'm crazy, but they're like, because I was like, I love birth. And they're like, you like pregnancy? I'm like, no, I just like birth. I was like, because you kind of have to die. You kind of have to die and then come back. You meet Jesus, you see the light, and then you come back and you're like, whoa, I'm still here. Wild. And then I have this other being it's the most insane feeling, right? Isn't it the most insane, like having a baby, like something that has never been there before, and then it's here. And that's creation of anything. And so like when we talk about mindset shift and we're expanding like our consciousness, every time you expand your consciousness and you're able to shift your mind and have a different perspective than you ever had before, you just birthed a new baby. You just created something that has never existed.
Agreed.
And what a gift to be able to see this world through a new lens.
So how would somebody know right now where their current mindset is and where their level of frequency is?
So our last episode, I think we touched on this a lot, right? We talked about consciousness, expanding consciousness and raising vibration. And the dish.
The dish.
Which the dish was brought up. You have to go watch that episode, episode 7. Worth it. If you are watching everything as the mirror, even if it triggers you and you're like, this is not my shit. This is not on my face. This is a cracked mirror. Right? Then you walk away. That's fine too. But if you're looking at everything, at least taking it in and thinking, you know what? Let me try to see what there is to learn here. What is there to learn in this relationship?
Yeah.
About myself? What is there to learn about somebody else? I think that's takes a lot of work.
It takes a lot of presence, and it takes a lot of spaciousness. Like to be able to sit there and maybe want to scream at the top of your lungs. But that's only the ego speaking. It's only the ego saying like, wow, there's something about this person that's really triggering the hell out of me right now. And what about them is in me And it's not the easiest of journeys, but it's actually a very rewarding one, because not only do you get to learn so much about yourself, but you really get to learn about the other person and the dynamics of the relationship, and of yourself, and how you can bring more value. But also like how you can live your life better, right? Like if you're triggered by things all the time, you can't possibly live a happy life.
Is it everyone else? So those people that are like, oh, this person's a bitch, this person's that, this asshole when they're driving, this is that. You have to ask yourself, if you're living in this realm, on this plane, in this existence, is it everyone else, right? Is it everybody else that is bothersome in the world? Like, I used to be a I hate people person, right? Like we all know this, I hate people. And what does that mean? What does that tell you about yourself? If you hate people, who do you really hate? Who do you hate?
Yourself.
You hate yourself, because there is no way that there are 8 billion people on this planet and they're all effed up.
Yeah.
And you are the chosen one, right? At the same time, inversely, you're going to see what you are. And that's really hard when we're talking about mindset shift. And I think this is a never-ending work of true self-acceptance, especially when you are so broken and damaged from maybe a childhood, relationships, that negative self-talk. And that's a huge one that I want to touch on today, the negative self-talk, and just habitual inner dialogue that is telling you how terrible of a person you are.
Yeah.
Therefore, you start to block that out and you start to project it. Everyone around me is actually terrible. It's not me. But like if you were to sit with your own thoughts and start listening, what is it really saying? It's going to come right back. One finger pointing that way, there's 3 more back at you, right? So number 1, I think a step, like you said, to become more aware, like, oh shit, I need a mindset shift. Like, is that ever going to happen? Like, oh, I need to shift my mindset. No, it's going to come from one of those points where you recognize that you're in a place where your mind is dark, right? And
What do you mean by dark?
if you've experienced it, you know. Like, it feels like depression.
Okay.
It feels like
But
low energy,
depression, low energy.
which is depression is low energy. It feels like sadness. It feels like despair. It feels like, and these are different from traumatic events.
Yeah.
It's not a
But traumatic events could be weighing on
trigger,
those, of course.
absolutely, and then it could linger, but there's a difference between experiencing something and feeling the feeling that's needed to be feeling.
Yeah.
Somebody dies, you need to be sad. You're not depressed. You are feeling a real feeling of sadness and grief that your body needs to go through in order to release it. You have to go through it. You got to go through it to get to it, right? But if you are in a state of being, like you said, triggered by everything, and you recognize that this is not a way to live, then you know it's time for a mindset shift.
I heard something the other day. It was super powerful. And sometimes I try to find ways that whenever you go through the loop, oh, here it comes, because you can feel your shifts. I'm super high. I'm okay. Oof. I need some alone time right now. But I think one of the past episodes that we talked about victimhood, like victimhood is,
That was in the first season.
it's a huge thing. And I think it's so important, and this is only for me, that one of the things that always keeps me able to do the work is by taking 100% full accountability and responsibility for my journey moving forward. Because when you don't do that, you can't. And although the lessons are sometimes so tough and you just want to like, your skin is crawling, knowing that I'm 100% responsible for everything is the key for me. Now, that doesn't mean that you haven't been conditioned, you haven't been traumatized, you haven't been whatever you have gone through in your life. But up to this time right now, you have to make the decision that from now on, it's all on you. And so if you can take that moment and look at your life and find out where you're feeling this, where you're feeling that, and start to put together the life that you would like to live, I think that your higher self brings you those challenges on a consistent basis to mold you into the person that you're supposed to become. And
Like breathing into the mic.
and for me, that always allows me to stay grounded. I ask myself, why did I create this situation? And what am I here to learn from it? And I heard that not too long ago from a guy, and it just resonates with me every single moment. Anytime I'm triggered, I'm like, why did I create that situation? And what am I here to learn from it?
You do that?
And I do.
Even when you're triggered with me?
When I'm triggered with you, I ask myself,
Could you be
why?
mad?
There's nothing wrong with being mad. So that's the thing. If I was mad uncontrollably and habitually and not paying attention to the lesson being learned, that's when we can't turn off emotions, right? We can still feel our emotions with full awareness. Matter of fact, that's better. If I can feel what I'm feeling and at the same time observe myself acting out of a habitual pattern, to me, that's my higher self telling me that you need to remove yourself from this pattern. Here's another shot. Here's another chance to
It's funny.
transcend this type of situation.
You say that. On my way here, third time in 18 months, my windshield got hit by a rock and it cracked. And it's just funny you're saying that because the dialogue that went inside my head at first, it was like, holy shit, why does this keep happening to me? And I kind of giggled. I giggled because I know that it's an extension of whatever energetic field I am on. And it also was a really cool lesson because in that moment, I was also able to switch really quick and say, it's just a cracked windshield. And it's just like this small, right? It's like out of all the things that can possibly happen in this world that are really terrible, are you going to let a chip in a windshield
Ruin your day.
break your life?
Yeah.
Because is it highly irritating?
But that's what
Absolutely.
that's what the triggers are about.
You know, so I call Safelight. I'm like, so you guys like seeing me or I like seeing you? What's the deal? Like we got hot dates like every other month at this point because they like messed up my trim for months and I've just been back and forth at Safelight. I'm like, you know what? Let's just like make a contract at this point.
Yeah.
And I just felt so lighthearted after this really shitty event. And I think that
That's actually not a bad idea.
is a mindset shift. Right? Like that's a mindset shift. It's like I could either let this make or break my day. Like Tyler asked, like, he's like, even some people wake up in the morning. Like you need to start thinking about all the terrible things that are going to happen. Like a humbug, right? Like, this day, it's Monday. It's the Mondayest Monday ever. How do I wake up on a Monday and say, good morning? Like, what a great day to be alive. Even though 2 of my kids for the past week have been waking up in the middle of the night, crawling into my bed, pushing me off to the edge, getting no sleep at night, my stomach's cramping, 8 months pregnant, barely got any sleep, woke up 7 times to pee. How do I wake up with gratitude in my heart? I literally, right at this moment, I get up and I look at those 2 healthy little kids and I say, thank you, God, for allowing me to wake up next to them. Thank you. Even in discomfort, even in pain, I'm not suffering because this is not killing me. If anything, it's making me realize like how full my life is, how much there is here, the bountifulness that there is here, like the presence of bodies and beings around me. What a gift.
So if somebody wakes up in the morning and they're heavy, for whatever reason, what advice would you give them to start moving in a specific direction to wake up feeling?
I've definitely shared this before. Hi, Mila. This is Mila. She's also in my bed. Oh, I hate when she licks my mouth. She eats Kaya's poop. She like literally eats crap. Please don't ever with me again. This was something I shared on a previous podcast, but I'm always willing to share it again. I feel like I just licked her lick. Before you even open your eyes, you're awake, right? You know that. Like you feel when you're awake, whether it's an alarm going off or whether you naturally like wake up and you're like, oh, I'm awake, and then your eyes open. And then sometimes your eyes don't even open until you like get out of bed, right? But if this is an amazing practice and it's like life-changing, if even before you open your eyes, you say, thank you for waking me up today. If the first thought you have is gratitude, is thankfulness that you got to wake up and you got another chance, that can shift your entire day. And if you take a moment longer and just take a deep breath in and feel what it feels like to breathe fully in and fully out, and then open your eyes and then say thank you again for this sight. Then you roll off the bed and you put your feet on the floor. Thank you for my body functioning. You walk in the bathroom, you look in the mirror. Thank you for this face. I like this face. Like, what if you could fill your morning with gratitude first? And then something that I used to do, I no longer do due to like time and rushing in the morning and having a lot of other things to do, but I would never not implement it again. Right now I listen to a Bible scripture. So I listen to like the audio version of whatever Bible verse is for the day. But at one point when I was really down low and I needed positivity to flow into me, I would write a list. I had a list, it's already written, but I pulled it out every morning and I looked myself in the eyes and I said the affirmations. And the affirmations were not like, I'm so beautiful, I'm so loving. They were more like, I have purpose in this world today. I am here for a reason. Today I take steps towards my goals. I know that I am valuable. I know that every day I get closer to my goals. Every day my life is filled with love, joy, and friendships. And I think it was wild because now I'm like, wow, I should really start that again. When I said these things, it was crazy, the synchronicities of what I felt and the truth that came about from affirming them, looking myself in the eyes and believing them before they fell into physical manifestation. And when I'm having this gratitude, I fill my heart with like God energy. Like, thank you, God, for Creator, for bringing this all into existence for me today, for the chastity, the small microcosmic piece of this all. Thank you for allowing me to feel this, having these feelings. And I think those are 2 huge steps: gratitude in the morning and affirming who you want to step into be, because you already know that exists in the infinite realms of possibilities.
Love it. So if we had to give the viewers some quick and easy steps to quickly raise their frequency. Let's say 5 minutes from now, what steps could I take to quickly raise my frequency and maybe get out of a negative mindset loop, to shift it back to a positive?
Oh, I'm like the interviewee today. One huge thing, we're so disconnected from the earth right now, and God put everything on this earth for us to experience and to realize, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Right? And when we think about heaven and the bountifulness, God wants us to realize, like, that prayer is here. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. It's here. If you cannot see that how heavenly this life is and bountiful it is, you can't appreciate anything. So one thing what has been done in the past, 1,000 years, 100, 500, colonialism, I'm not good at math or history. We've lost the connection to the earth. We no longer walk around barefoot in the yard. So long story short, number one, grounding. Taking your shoes off, going to your yard, going outside on your lunch break, taking your shoes off, putting your feet in dirt. It will bring your energy levels up immediately, and better in the sun. If you could have sun shining on you and your feet in the earth, and you could have a moment of gratitude for that and feeling connected to this world, that's a huge way to start raising your vibration.
Gotcha.
Energetically. That is just like scientifically, without having to go into like the psychology of it all. That is a huge way that's proven.
And quite honestly, I mean, I think another easy, instantaneous way to know where you're at right now is just your emotional state. Like if you're feeling happy, you know naturally your frequency is high. If you feel joyful, if you feel loving, it's high. If you feel stressed or you feel angry, you know that it's low.
Low vibrations.
You don't want to necessarily push away those feelings. You want to observe them, because once you observe them, you can then ask yourself the question of, why do I feel this way right now?
Eckhart Tolle, again, he's my theme today. The Power of Now. Good book, deep and long. You got to really be like wanting to hear it to fall in love with it. But he talks about becoming the watcher, where you are no longer your character, right? Your character of Chastity, Chris, oh, I got to keep role playing. I am now stepping out of that character. That character still exists, and I'm watching it. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder why I'm doing that. So before you even think that, okay, I need to change my attitude and change the way I believe and change my thinking and change my actions, watch it first. Like you just said, just watch it. Feel it. Watch it. Be intrigued. And ask yourself if you like it. Is that something I really want to keep doing? And then Facebook will remind you 5 years later that was not something you wanted to be saying or doing. Right? Once you become the watcher.
And I leave everybody with this. Being the watcher is extremely difficult. It's emotional. You feel a lot. Sometimes you can't imagine the way that you're acting. But I think the question to start with is understanding why you act that way. And I want to give you the space and the compassion for you to understand that you might not know why you act that way. As we've talked about multiple times, you've really been conditioned between age 0 and age 7. Whether you're 25, 35, 65 right now, it doesn't really matter. If you can give yourself the space and the compassion to watch what's going on and to detach yourself from it, you will give yourself the best opportunity to completely transform your life. naturally with time.
I think a good way to actually put that, to keep going, to put that into practice, because that's like esoteric, right? Like become the watcher, give yourself the space. Breathe. Deep breaths. If you are in a moment and your heart's pounding and you really want to react and you want to go at it, take 3 deep breaths. In through your nose, out of your mouth. Do it. Doesn't matter who's watching. Even if you're really angry and somebody else is arguing with you and you really want to respond back, breathe instead. First of all, you're giving yourself a moment. You're giving the other person a moment. You're taking a moment. And you're giving that space that you're talking about, breath. And first of all, oxygen helps your entire system recalibrate. So once you're taking that deep breath in and you're letting it fully go, you're allowing your system to, your central nervous system to relax, right? You're able to bring those shoulders down, relax your temples, relax your jaws, and then try to be angry. It's much harder because you're no longer in fight or flight. Now you're relaxed and you're like, you know what? Actually, I was really angry and I still might not like you at all, but you don't deserve my energy right now. And so, yeah, that's a good place to start. Breathing. There's lots of breathing techniques. You could look at the 4 the box technique, when you breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts. Breathing techniques are definitely one of the best ways. You could look into Wim Hof. You get high off your own supply. You could literally pass out from breathing. I think that's one of our most powerful tools that we underutilize.
Nice. Thank you. So everybody, thank you so much for spending your time with us today. We hope that we were able to give you some wisdom, some nuggets.
32 subscribers. Keep on going. Thank you so much for just tuning in and watching us. Please follow us. Please like and subscribe if you like this content. If you don't, leave comments. Like, Chastity's so loud. Just let us know your feedback, whether it's positive or negative. We could only learn and grow with you. So thank you again.
Thank you, guys.